Born and raised in Bosnia, went through the post-war period, finished the education at University of Economy, majoring in marketing and management, and always had this thought back of my head that, hey, I want to live somewhere else.
I couldn't imagine when it's like war or post-war, like trying to rebuild and you have a little one at home, like that's a lot.
As many books you read, as many, courses you go to, yes, they do help you to kind of understand what's the skeleton of how everything should work. But once we knock on the world of reality, some stuff are not so perfect.
Hey, what's going on, friends? Jason here with the Love Local Chicagoland podcast. I'm super excited to bring a great story to you today about grit, about overcoming, about following one's dreams, getting mentorship, putting the nose to the grindstone, and doing things even when it's hard. My friends, I'm going to introduce you to a woman today named Gorana. She owns and runs a marketing agency with other people, and she has a heart of gold. She's from Bosnia. She came here later in life. She started here in America, hostessing at a restaurant and in cleaning toilets. And through a pretty short period of time, she came up. She kept chiseling upwards. She kept getting mentorship. She kept learning. And now she's thriving in business and life here in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because I think it's a story of like just following your dreams, going after what you see and not letting anything get in your way. And I think that's important. I think in the middle of it, we'll talk a little bit about social media and what we think makes good social media and connections with humans, along with a few other things. But enough of me talking. I'm really excited to introduce you to Gorana. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jason. So glad to be here today.
Yeah, I'm really glad you reached out. Like, we didn't really know each other. I think we saw each other at like an SBA thing really quickly, and we had coffee and kind of connected. And it was like, oh, like, you're really cool. We should have a conversation. So I'm glad that we're here. Just to kind of start, I'll pull back the layers as we continue to evolve, but just tell our audience a little bit about yourself, high-level overview.
Well, you did a pretty great job doing an introduction. Technically born and raised in Bosnia, went through the post-war period, finished the education at University of Economy, majoring in marketing and management, and always had this thought back of my head that, hey, I want to live somewhere else. This is not kind of like place where I find myself and where it's interesting for me. And my mom used to tell the story all of the time. I used to be like 4 years old, and she would ask me, hey, where is home? In a sense of, like you working on a motorical skills to figure it out if your child remembered the pathway to the house. And I would answer to that far, far away, which today turns out to be true because it really is so many miles away.
Yeah, so she's still there in Bosnia?
Correct.
Oh, beautiful.
So like pretty much like after in my like 25, 26 years old, I moved into the United States, started to like pursue certain life goal that I have set it out for myself. And as you mentioned, it started in the restaurants. First position was hosting. Part of the job was, like taking care of like cleanliness of the toilets at the end of the shift and everything. But, you just go overstep those things. And just later on, moved to like a corporate career. And today on the spot that I think I always was supposed to be, and that's an entrepreneur.
Yeah, an entrepreneur, building things and helping people in your own way amplify their voice in an authentic, cool way, which is, as a fellow creator, I'm excited for that part of our conversation because I think we have a lot of similarities in how we look at creating with people. And I think it's just a beautiful way to be able to go about it. But I kind of want to start a little bit early. Tell me a little bit about your childhood. And kind of what did that look like? And was it war times or was it like post-war? Explain exactly what that is or the time frame.
That was a post-war times because the war ended in 95. Mm-hmm. So I would say like at that time I was pretty little. I was born in 93. So it was interesting. I was born in a family of like hardworking people. So like my parents at that time, like it's a post-war times, you lose everything. House they used to live was burned to the ground. They relocated in a bigger city that they didn't have anybody around, and like kind of all your friends and family are going through the same situation. So you really don't have something to grab on and somebody to help you out. You got to figure it on your own, and plus you have a little child at home that you need to take care of. So some of the stories that I remember, it's like my mom and dad working 2 jobs, making sure, like that I have milk throughout the day, and ordering that, like from the neighbors who at that time were farming, and they were providing it as well. Periods of while the war was still on, where my mom did not know for like months and months if my dad is still alive. So like,
Your dad fought in the military?
yeah, he was.
I
He was
guess if
in
you're
charge.
in war, does everybody? I don't. I guess I don't. It's a
Not
novice
really.
question.
I think he was more in charge of like taking care of all of the ammunition and like kind of cleaning of that part and everything. But I really do not know, because that's part of the story that he really doesn't like sharing, and
Sure.
I cannot judge him for that because he lost a brother during that period. So
Yeah, indeed.
it's a tough subject. But like through all of these things, like I remember it was 99. The year my sister was born, and my mom was having like 9 to 5 job, and then having 2 kids and everything. That salary wasn't so big, so she was like, okay, I need to figure it out something else to start doing, and she came across this multi-level marketing thing. That was a company named like Tupperware, and was there selling like plastic dishes. So it would be me, like 6 years old. My sister is still like little, and she's taking us to, like a house presentation to where is it, like party of 15 ladies. So I think having that as growing up, it was like you're just like person who's showing you, and people around you showing you that, hey, if you put a lot of effort into stuff, you can accomplish anything. And I really want to say thank you to my parents, because all of the time, the first thing was, hey, educate yourself. So that's where me starting the school, one of the things that was must have is you gotta start the school. You can take any hobby you want, any sports, which I chose dancing. But another object was like, okay, you can get a dancing, but you need to learn one of the languages. So you can choose which one you want. That's where the English come in play. And it helped me a lot coming to the United States, being 25 and speaking fluently versus other immigrants that I would see that, like they still struggle and they don't have enough of the vocabulary.
Yeah, it's cool that you like had the people around you with that like grit, with that determination, and like with that sense of like we're overcoming. I couldn't imagine what it's like. I have young kids now. I couldn't imagine what it's like. War or post-war, like trying to rebuild, and you have a little one at home. Like that's a lot to be able to take in. But for you to kind of come up in that, to be able to see. To me, like really good-hearted people is what I hear you say, that like went through hard times, but kept pushing, kept persevering so that they could have better lives and give their daughter a better life. And they really wanted to set you up for success, which is like, it's kind of what it's about. So I'll give kudos to your parents too. What was like, you obviously knew English because of that, but like, what was like, I'm going to go to America? Like, where did that come from?
So my parents working constantly, I have a feeling like I was the one, like being impressed by the sitcoms. So like at that time, like American sitcoms were all around, like so 70s show, then, like Al Bundy, Shoemaker, and similar things. That was something that was always on TV. And I don't know, like, like you just have that inner peace in yourself that is telling you, hey, you need to go and you need to try. That was the only thing. And, like by growing with such a models around you, there was always a thing, okay, try it. If it doesn't work, you can always try something else. So there was no option. Oh, you try it. Don't try because you're not gonna fail.
Yeah, and failure is not the end, right? Failure
Correct.
is just the beginning, usually, right?
You learn on it. So I think that was why it was something. Like it's interesting. It always been talked about, and it was some interesting story later on that I caught up, and that's I guess one of my great grandparents. Used to live in Minnesota. Apparently had a restaurant, everything, then moved back home. So I was like, okay, like maybe we have something in blood that kind of draws us to this part of the continent.
Yes. When you came here, where did you go to first?
Oh, Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah.
The most interesting place on the planet.
Is it the water slides? Like,
so the way how it goes, it's like you're going in a certain area where they need typically employees for the summertime. So like I did have some relatives in Milwaukee. So they were like, oh, great. My mom was like, okay, can you please find something so it's going to be closed in case if you're going to really need something, we can reach out to them. And I was like, okay. So like out of the blue, the Wisconsin Dells pops out and open a position in a restaurant and then a lifeguard at one of the hotel pools. But it's like, summer city. It was a lot of fun, a lot of people to get to know once the winter came. It was a ghost city. And that was my realization, okay, I need to do the next step and move around because this is not going to work for me. I need to be in constant movement. And that's where moving to the Chicago in 2019 came.
Awesome. And then, so you've been here, like you came right before COVID then, like when the world kind of changed, and you worked in restaurants still when you came here too, right?
Yes.
That's where the cleaning of the toilets.
That's where the cleaning and toilets kind of stopped. That was the first year. In the first year, like I didn't clean the toilets for long. It was like 2-3 months period, but I'm always saying I'm proud that I tried everything. Yeah. I moved along then later on to the server and then in managing of the restaurant. So it gave me really a lot of ins and outs of the industry. I loved it. It was a lot of introduction with the people, just communication, me improving my English and understanding that, hey, yes, I like this thing of being constantly in a conversation with other people, but I do not like the late shifts. It was, you're finishing around midnight, 1, 2 a.m. by the time everything is set it up.
Yeah, it's definitely not a best way to live life. If there's other options, it's not a normal cycle for sure when you're working in that industry. So I love how you haven't been here that long. So now, 7-8 years now.
Yeah, 7 years in May, I believe.
7 years in May, and you've come up. Now you've gotten to a point. Worked in restaurants. You went into corporate America for a little bit, right? And you decided to build your own thing, and now you have a marketing agency. Like that's a heck of a journey, in such a quick amount of time. But I went, I would think that going through that, it's got to be hard. Like your family's at home. This is all new to you, and you're doing things that you didn't set out to do, but you're like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Like, what kept you moving forward through like all those hard moments, or some of the hard moments?
I was really close growing up. I was spending a lot of time with my grandparents, and I have a feeling like I have the closest connection with my grandpa. So growing up, he was always that like a wise guy with a lot of sentences and like just an examples, repeating it over and over. So maybe something is going to be left, so this child is going to learn. Yeah. And I think that conversation.
It's grandpa's job. I think is to do just what you just said. Yeah.
And I think me growing up and, like having that somewhere in the back of my head, it kind of like that was a promise made to grandpa that, hey, yes, I'm going to succeed and I'm going to make all of these things. It's something that ultimately makes you move forward and you don't want to give up. But if it's, is it hard? Yes, it is. It's not, flowers and roses every day. Certain days you're like, oh, why? Why me? And then you move along.
Yeah, you just keep going, right? You feel the emotion, you sing, okay, it sucks, but then you just keep pushing. Like it's just a stage of life, right? So it's a wave of sorts, right? that you're going through and you don't get through it unless you work hard and keep going, right? So I love that. During our conversation in prep, you talked about mentorship was a game changer. What role did mentors play in your personal and professional growth?
Well, I had an experience to start with a mentorship really early. I was around 15 years old, so like a high school period. I had a chance to participate in like advanced program with the kids that were like interested in more. So 16, 17, with a mentor that we worked with, and she gave us an opportunity to go on and do the project with the Ministry of Health of our country, which was a huge thing. Who gives a 16-year-old do something like that? And I think learning one thing from the mentors is like, whatever we want to do, if we find a correct, resources and we follow the certain path and we truly know that that's what we want to do, in the end, it's going to give a result. Yes, it's going to be a hard process. It's going to be, like 2 steps up, 3 down and repeat. But
that's why you're built for entrepreneurship right there.
And just simply that, if I'm using the correct word, I think it's a resilience, just being there, getting out. And a lot of time, even one of the mentors I worked with, I think even to nowadays, she's, trying to move that limit and show to the people like, okay, it's not always if I do this, what somebody else is going to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's if I do this, how much it's going to help to somebody else, or is there somebody who's going to hurt me, is going to like, wake up because it can see me as an example of doing this thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. You're sitting here. You said you're 7 years in. If you could go back to maybe when this ideas first came into play of like, hey, I'm gonna try this and go to America. What advice would you give to yourself as you look back?
Huh, that's you surprised me with this question. It's really a nice one. I think I don't really go in thinking that much sometimes. As I'm growing older, I start overthinking a lot, and I don't think that's good. I think that's a great thing of me being 25 and just not thinking and going straight to what's bringing me today here. So maybe just an advice of live life a little bit more. Like have fun. Yeah.
Don't always be so serious and it's all going to work itself out. That's good advice. I like that. So when we talked, there's a lot of things that I have that just came to like, oh, there's a lot of similarities here. One is like we both have a passion for story, we have a passion for marketing, and we have a passion for like helping others do it too. And I really, when you came at it, like we were talking about marketing, I'm like, I just love the way you come at it. And I'm like, I think it's because I think very similar. So it was easy. And it was just very much about like making real content and not trying to be fancy with what we're trying to create for these social airways. Because at the end of the day, very few of us want fancy. We want real, right? So you've built the marketing agency. You have a partner, right? Right. That you work with, and you level each other out, which is awesome. And one of the things we were talking about is when you're making content, to talk about like real and raw content. Why do you think like making real and raw content for the small businesses, the businesses of the world, or the nonprofits, why do you think that's so important?
Well, here's the thing, like, I'm European by my roots and everything. And we tend to have this like, oh, this is perfect. And, like it's just everything needs to be designed, everything needs to be matched, and everything needs to look perfect on the outside. But then we come to the point that the inside, it's actually rotten. And it wouldn't be an actually big problem in that moment. But once the kind of social media now like overtakes everything, and as we're rolling in a more of the AI empowerment and everything, I'm seeing more and more business owners that, like we just need to keep filming and keep shooting because somebody else did it like that, and it has to be just perfect as that is. My question always is, to our clients, to whoever we talk about marketing, is like, okay, once you attract the client with your video or whatever you post on your social media, you do understand that your client is going to expect exactly that when he comes in. It's at your office, your store, or whatever it is. So, and then he's going to get disappointed. And that's not the emotion that we want to develop. We want to show what really it is. What's the value you're bringing into your client that he wants and chooses to work with you? Because not always the office is perfectly set it up, because it's people working there. So let's show that part as well, because there's clients out there that it's going to support a small business, going to support their hustle just because they also been there and they know how it was. But we always tend to see this like, like perfect example that it's out there, and kind of like tend to that, like a Hollywood type of the business, how I like to call it, which, like just being honest and open with people and letting them know that, hey, these things that you're seeing on Instagram and Facebook, it's hours and hours of production, it's lights, it's, like so many things to mask it up. It's not real. And
it's a lot of overhead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's in a way, like in a businesses, I think that kind of like slows it down here and there. I think where it affects more, it's in personal lives. And that's something that I believe to me, it affects me a lot, in a sense of seeing people scrolling to their phones and wishing a life of somebody else that have been just shown so perfectly that is far away from the truth. So, and I think that's the problem with which one we are dealing today.
Yeah, it's we just got to be real with ourselves. I feel like, we want, to me, when I think about content creation, people hear me talk about like authentic content. That matters because it's when you don't show up as yourself, you could see that. You could feel that, whether it's on that piece of content or, to your point, when somebody comes and visits your salon or whatever that business would be, and it feels different. I love how you said tie in the emotion. Like you don't want that emotion from people, and that's very much to me what social media is. It's not social media. It's what we're going for with social media. Is how do we make people feel emotions to be able to like encourage, inspire, to uplift, to make people want to be excited about whatever that thing is, because you find your people. Like when you're trying to be fancy, you're not always finding your people. If that makes any sense. At least that's what I've learned along the way. So like authentic content creation is like, to me, the best place to be able to go, because as a business, we have a choice. We could either just focus on a business and we could keep it transactional, or we could come at it from a community approach, which when now we have this opportunity on the ground to create the community when people visit us, and we could show love to them and we could support them and do all these things, and we could build and grow in community there, and they continue to come back. They are loyal customers or clients at the end of the day. And I think that's a big piece of what is needed to me in social media, is to be able to take that ground and what's real, but take it to the air and get people engaged even when they're not in front of you. And through that, you said you said something about rooting for people, but like you're rooting for those people to win, because you're like, I've been there in my own way, and now I'm seeing this business do this thing, and like, I want to go support them. I'm going to go to that mom and pops. I'm going to go to whatever that is. But if you're not real, you're never going to get to the people. And if you don't get to the people, how are you going to get to the sales? So me and you could talk about that. I feel like we should just have a whole conversation around social media and marketing as we continue to evolve. But I'm going to jump to the next question. It's a little bit this too, but how can brands and individuals show up more on social media, and why does it matter?
So I think we have a perfect platforms right now, like Instagram Reels, like YouTube Shorts and everything. It's something that gives an open ear to all of the smaller businesses, and it's cost effective for them as well. How they can benefit from that is just simply like showing their face and like being the face of their brand. We're coming a lot to the point of, like we go to the client and everything, and they're like, yeah, we want to do this, we want to have all of these things, but like, I don't want to go in front of the camera. Why? I just don't look good in front of the camera. It's not my type and everything. Sometimes it happens that we manage to convince people, and they tend to do that. And once they see the result, they start loving it. It's just simply by something that you already mentioned. People get to recognize that emotion from the other human being, and that's something that we're drawn to. So once we, talk and be fully open ourselves, which small businesses can do, just simply go in front of the camera, show your product, show your services, talk about it, talk about what you do on a daily basis, how your day was, or what obstacles did you have through that day. And other people are going to watch. It's not going to be on the first thing that they're going to, get into contact with you and the similar things, but they're going to keep watching. They're going to keep getting into and keep resonating with that they are going through the same things. So once those things are clicked and connected, I think that's a great tool that no other software program or no other media can give it to us. Yeah. So I think that's something that small businesses are not utilizing enough, and they definitely could. Yeah. We were all trying to be, I feel like, but a lot of them are just trying to be fancy. And it goes back to the first question of just being real. And you said it, then when you're real, you connect. When you connect, you drive sales. When you connect, people come back. When you connect, they tell their friends. But if you don't connect, those other things happen. You're leaving money on the table. But social media allows you to do that. You make people feel something. I love how you come at it from that approach. So next question, last one here on social media, and we'll jump in a little bit. It's a mindset, and how you view mindset as being an important piece of how
you do life. But last one on social media. What does it look like to you to use social media, not just for exposure, but to build a real community? Which I feel like maybe is something that I kind of mentioned on a little bit too. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think you do a great job on that end, following you through all of this time. And I mean, the way how we connected. So I think it is, once you become an entrepreneur and you're like, okay, I got a registered company, I got a company logo. Okay, what do I do next? That's majority what, like a small business owners are, the situation where they are in. So having that, like a small community and being able to go ahead, meet the other people, get to know all of them, get to know their businesses, and just simply talk like any lunch events or any other networking events that we have, like business after hours and similar things. I believe it helps the people a lot because they don't feel so lonely and isolated. And that's the biggest problem, because as many books you read, as many, courses you go to, yes, they do help you to kind of understand what's the skeleton of how everything should work. But once we knock on the world of reality, some stuff are not so perfect. And I think we talked about this one of our coffees when we grabbed together, and everything was like, like one morning you wake up, you have, like dark eyes, your hair doesn't look great and everything, and you just don't want to do anything. But it's okay to show up even like that, because it's a part of the process.
It's a part of the human ride. Yeah.
Correct. And having, I had that luck that I had great friends around, people really supportive around in any moment, because, you got into obstacles and you're thinking like, hey, is all of this worth it? Like, should I keep going on? And am I on the right path? So having that person next to you, it can be your friend, it can be your relative, it can be even the other person from the community that you met on one of these events, and you sit on the coffee and you talk and you have an open conversation and say, hey, I'm going through all of these troubles. Like, have you had any issues like this? I think that's the part that we're all avoiding, because we want to just present like, oh, we're so strong, all it's going great, business is awesome. And then we come home, close the doors, and we're like pulling the heads from the hair, like and stuff like that. So, because we don't know what we want to do. I think that somehow the world shaped us to like, we have to be these like strong units instead of if we go. Yeah. And if we go back in time, like people are always surrounded in colonies and everything. It was groups. So we thrives in the groups, because everybody of us brings something a little bit that, I learned from you, you learn from somebody else. I also get to know that part of information, and it keeps feeding us from the inside so we can actually thrive in what we do the best.
Yeah, I agree. It's I have a friend. Her name is Cassie. She owns Little Broken Things. It's a hair salon and art gallery in Palatine. Okay. She has one in the city too. But it's they're real, and it's about for them. It's about like creating and bringing your art out. Like, what do you want? And like kind of bringing that out for you and with you. But she comes at it from a place of being very communal, because she put in an art gallery in there as well. So now there's people, women getting their haircuts. They have really cool, stylists. They have their own vibe, that type of thing. But then they have this art gallery too. But now you see this coming together. There's is very communal, so that they're being real with each other. They're allowing the business and the people are allowing each other not to be perfect, like, and showing up as themselves. That's real connection. When you know somebody goes through something similar or different, but it's hard, there's a connection there to me. For me, my team hears me say, like, I think that through connection, I think, and being real and getting in the community, I think we could heal like from within, because to me, community can do that if you're allowed to be your true self in it. So another podcast for another day. We'll keep talking about that and more marketing and social media. But right now I want to touch into your mindset. So you talked a lot about, failing, overcoming, you keep going. And I didn't always have that approach in my life. I didn't have that same push from my parents that I think you had, but I learned it later in life. And I'm like, man, that is so right. Like, who cares about failing? Just get back up and you go and you take what you've learned, and now you're just going to be better, right? But why do you think people stop themselves before they even begin?
I think I can connect that again to like not just social media, but in media in general. From like since we were little and everything, we were kind of like draw the attention to like Miss Universe type of the stuff, like Vogue magazine covers and everything, where all of this is perfect. So we are tending to perfection, and on this path to do such a stuff, people a lot of time like simply fail. It doesn't really work that way because, as I mentioned, like as much as we have the path drawn in the books and these are 4 steps that you need to do, you're in a step 2 and then life happened. Certain events in your life just simply happen that you don't have a control on. So I think that we don't have in general nowadays any kind of the environment around us or nothing. Even right now we're talking about that. I haven't heard it recently talking about the fact that it's okay to fail in a certain stuff. It's okay to figure it out. Something is not for you. I have an interesting story. During the COVID time, I decided that, hey, I would like to maybe become a nail artist. So I purchased the course to go ahead, figure it out how to do the Russian manicure type of the style, everything. Got a certificate, come home. Okay, I got myself a table and let me invite some of my friends, let me do their nails. Yeah, that went good. And then I got another client and everything. And then I'm realizing, okay, I don't like the job I just did. Yeah, I enjoy the conversation that I had with people, but that's about it. So this type of the work that I do, it doesn't make me feel good about myself. It's like not something that, hey, I'm going to be so proud and I'm going to go around and talk how I did that. So I just simply like said, okay, I'm just going to put all of this equipment in a drawer. I can do it for myself if I need to. Let me figure it out. What is the next thing, what I can do, what actually is going to make me happy. So I think that we have a lot, at least European aspect that you can correct me. I don't know how it's here. A lot of parents have this thing that they wanted their kids to be lawyers, doctors,
That's
managers.
an American thing that's like stupid and should go away. That's my opinion. Nobody else's, or maybe other people, but it's definitely my opinion. But yeah, that is that. It's like, but just be yourself instead. That's what I hear you say.
Because we need so many electricians. That are great in that, and it's great a career.
Plumbers and everything, yeah. But like, what does your heart say? I feel like that's what some people are missing. It's me personally, what I think. But yeah, like if you can't get into your heart what you're willing to do, if you can't like, I'm gonna go try this, and if it doesn't work, I'm not gonna beat myself up. I'm just not gonna do it anymore. But like, eventually, you get to something that like sparks joy. Yeah. Like life's better full of joy, right? Like, when you get to get up and you get to go help a client, like be their best selves and to pull their messaging out and those types of things within our line of work. It's fun for us, but that plumbing aspect is fun for somebody else, or that electrical aspect of it. So it's like, find that, right?
And we don't measure everything by the currency. It's not, like that feeling that you did something and you don't care about a compensation. I think that's that joy that you have in your heart about that. I think that's when you found what you actually want to do in your life.
Yeah.
Because not every meeting needs to end up be a closed sale. Not everything needs to be just, like monetizing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. To me, it's like meetings, it's about connections at the end of the day. And sometimes it's going to be like, oh, yeah, we hit it off and we're going to work with each other. Sometimes it's like, well, maybe I'm not the right fit. Maybe, a hair salon comes to us. I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm not that good at that. None of us are. Here, check out Gorana, the work that she's done. And I think that's the piece of like, even look at our businesses. People would be like, oh, why are they helping each other? Why are they talking to each other? It's like, because we're different vibes, we're different folks at the end of the day, and we both bring value in our own unique way. So like, there's abundance out there for all of us if we just kind of come from a place of like what's in our hearts, not just trying to fit in some type of box or do whatever we have to do. So exactly. Me and you talked a lot about empathy, and I think we both came to the conclusion that it was like, oh, we come from a very empathic state as humans, but we think empathy is important. And I think empathy is important. I think it helps make for great content. I think I could go on and on with empathy. And I know it kind of gets beat up maybe by some of the algorithms that are out there right now. I'm going to tell you, I think you said it too, like, in our prep is empathy is part of the human ride. We're all animals at the end of the day, but empathy is something that we bring to the table that we should use as a strength. And you want to say something, but I have a question.
I believe that empathy is the only thing that makes us as a human beings different from any other species.
That's exactly what you said. Yeah, that's totally true. So, and I don't think I looked at it quite like that. I just know like empathy is like the key to being human. If you could be empathic for people, and vice versa, that's like the foundation of a lot of growth to live a joyous life here as a human. But so obviously empathy is a big part of your worldview. How has that shaped your relationships and the work that you do?
Oh, sometimes it's hard because as much as you can see, you're empathic and empathy comes. I used to say like it's a knife with two blades, like two sides of the blade. Is you're really empathic and you can see that you can help to somebody and you can bring it in. And even when it comes working with a client, like you recognize that there is a lot more that you can bring out of somebody. Mm-hmm. But why is the other part is you cannot help somebody if that person doesn't want to be helped. So like sometimes we, as much as we want to give and we recognize and we try to push it out, sometimes it comes back to us as a boomerang because we get end up being hurt because that's a mother person, like it's pushing it back. But just simply giving away without like thinking that, hey, one day this is going to be returned back to me. I think that's what every empath usually does. And just simply understanding that you were maybe in one point of life there when somebody recognized that in you and just simply like pat you on the shoulder and like you receive that.
See you.
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Like, so that's all you needed that day. I believe that's a lot of people out there who feel the same. They, like they just didn't get that, oh, you did good job. And that's what we need. And as much as we can give that to each other, I think that's great instead of being constantly judgmental. Mm-hmm. Because I'm seeing a lot of that.
Yeah.
And that's where you mentioned it, like, why are we working together? Why are we sitting at the same table? Because, hey, together, two of us, we can help to a bigger audience. Because me by myself, I can just cover this much. But if it's 5 of us and doing the same thing, we can get 500 people in and help them out and grow and build something great. And I think that that's the thing that empathy really does bring people together. If they recognize in each other and if they help to, like just push each other a little bit, like you get that a little bit thing so we can step on and, just fly into the world. And I think that's more and more people need that today.
Yeah. Being able to understand one's emotions and also emotions of others and to be able to see and feel them is a super strength at the end of the day.
Yeah.
How we use it, is important. And you talked about like working with like clients and you're if they're willing to put in the work and get to their true self, the magic that could happen from what you could see, feel, and bring out of them, it could be just beautiful work. Because sometimes people, with content at least, it takes a little bit. Right, they need to get out of their head. Right, I'm sure you experience that. Yep. So, kind of come at it from that state, you can pull people in, and that's almost your super strength when you're working with people. But if people don't want it, it's like, oh, we're not the right fit, and that's okay, and you move on. But it's like I challenge people to like want to put in that work. Like, and if they can't get to that spot to fix it themselves, it's like, oh, like sorry, dude, or miss, like. Life's better when it comes from a place of like going where you're going to find joy and what is going to make you happy at the end of the day.
Sorry, Jason.
Please.
Sometimes it may be like, oh, maybe it's not me, that person that, like you resonate with. Mm-hmm. Maybe there is somebody else who can, you're going to click better with and you're going to get that out of you.
Yeah.
And you work with a team. I work with a team of people every day. It's okay to understand that, hey, your employee in that day did not have a good day. Mm-hmm. He's not as productive because it's not a machine. Maybe something happened in the morning. Cut him some time. Give him an hour or two. He's going to get his thoughts or she going to get these things figured out, and it's going to come back with you with even better ideas, with even better plan. it doesn't have to be constant production.
Mm-mm.
We're not just there to, like a little ants and just like, oh, let's just give everything there and everything is going to be perfect. It doesn't work that way.
No.
That's why I'm saying, look, we're in a reality where everything happens.
We're better when we allow others to feel their emotions and to process them. Sometimes we have to go in and be curious as humans and not judgmental, and to ask questions to pull it out of people, because sometimes life is hard and sometimes it's traumatic, and sometimes, you drank too much the night before and you just need to tell, hey, man, you know what? I drank too much the night before and I'm hurting today. And you're all on the same page, and it's like, it's life, right? Like, you just be real with each other, which I think is so important. Let's see. During our conversation, you said it's okay to not be okay. Why is that such an important reminder, especially for people that are that I think are like us, that like we have big dreams. We're not small thinkers, but that's not always easy.
Yeah. Well, I think we can, like connect it with already previous thought, and that is, like as I mentioned, you're coming into the work and you're just not feeling it that day. Mm-hmm. That's something, like there is either something that it's bothering you, or you have some family situation, or hey, I don't know, your car broke down, whatever it is, the life happens, and that's fine, because it's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. And not everything that's happening in a life in a 24-hour, we cannot control it. Sometimes even, our own thoughts bring us so far away that we're like, oh, what I wanted to say. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. Like we take a time, we breathe in, like we realize that, hey, okay, I made this mistake in my life. These are the steps that I took. That was a wrong thing. I realize that right now, and I want to try it again. Like I'm okay right now. Let me try it and let me see how this time it's gonna happen, and is it gonna work out. So just being okay with yourself, even if I'm saying, and be honest with yourself that you can do better and you can be just fine with it. I think that's great. And just not tending to be, we watch movies, we see perfect jobs, we see somebody's, like LinkedIn pages, we see they have been here and there and everywhere, and we're thinking, oh my God, this person have the best job and ever, like it's, I don't know, traveling the world and staying in all of these hotels and everything, but we don't know the backside of that. Mm-hmm. And once we start doing similar job and we understand that, then it's a question for us, like, are we okay of taking this part, because also this is the consequences of doing this job, or it's just the, like nice, shining, brilliant that we wanted.
Yeah. No, it's important to be real. So thanks for sharing that. Kind of taking us on to the next question. As someone who didn't grow up here, but now leads a company here, what do you want people, especially young professionals, immigrants, and or women, to know about what's possible?
Well, it was, I wouldn't say hard, but it was more of like lack of information once I came here. And, like you're just coming in an environment that it's completely new and functions in a completely different way. I think that as an immigrant in the United States, we don't really know for all of the resources that are out there. Mm-hmm. We don't know how many universities are offering the certain programs, especially for the women in business and everything, how many things in our local communities does exist. Libraries are a great place to, like get out, get an information and find out what's going on. So I think that anybody who came and who has this desire and want to do something is just go out there and ask. Just ask the person, if there is a business that you're thinking that they're doing a great job, just like ask them, hey, can I talk with, whoever is in charge, manager, whatever, can I ask them just some information? Yes, people sometimes are going to tell you, sometimes they will not, but just search for the information. I don't think that that cost us nothing. Mm-hmm. And it does not hurt, to ask. So it's completely fine not to know something, because unless we try to find out, we're just going to always stay with that lack of information.
Sometimes people don't want to ask because they don't want to, they think they'll look stupid or whatever like that is. And my dad used to always say, that's like the worst thing you could do. Like, the people that know are going to commend you for asking the question that you don't know instead of just assuming. So ask that question, right? And see where it takes you.
Correct. And if I I'm assuming you know it unless you're gonna ask me, because I don't know if you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are the things, like I cannot read your mind. I wish I could,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, we'd
don't
be
have
in
a
trouble if we
superpower.
were each other's minds as humans. We'd all have a lot more grace for each other, probably. But all right, we're getting ready to close up here. But I one last question before I get into the closing part. What's your hope for the next generation of entrepreneurs and creators?
Huh, that's interesting. I think honestly that our goal, like as an every generation, is just like, to prepare and to leave a better path for the new generation that is coming. I do this for like a better future of my kids one day. I believe you're in it for the same thing, but I think what's one thing that we need to teach them is how to work better together instead of like
collaboratively.
separating.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree.
I've seen a lot of times companies that they pretty much bring the same products. They have a great solutions, but let's say one has the technology, another has the software, and they are going as a competitors against each other. Versus if they would collaborate and put the force together, they would bring some great results and some great things to the humanity. So that's one thing that I believe as we develop and as we prepare and as we want to leave the materials and all of the learning paths, I think that's what should be our focus.
Yeah, I love that. I think setting up the next generation, like the world became really transparent. Like over the last 10, 15 years, since this has come up, the social media platforms. So like morals and values are really important. So like teaching our kids those things in life and in business so that we can work together. Like to your point, if we connect with each other, if we're real with each other, and if we're the right fit to collaborate with each other, and we could create something cool. It's cooler than what just one of us alone could build.
Yep.
Right. So like, how could we shape the world if we came at it from that approach? Not like, one of my friends says like, don't be a taker. Like, don't just take. It's about, it's a give and receive. It's building win-wins at the end of the day. My hope is that for me, to kind of balance off yours, is that we could do that in the next generation, and we can collaborate, that we can, not just the next generation, the rest of our generation too. Yep. Like let's leave the world better than we found it, and we're better and we could go faster together. Right. That's what I hear you saying. So
get to know your neighbor. Yeah. Simple stuff like that.
Drop the mic, not that one, but yeah, that's it. There's power in knowing your neighbor, and there's power. To me, Cutie hears this a lot. It's get outside your algorithm and go talk to people, and go with love, go with grace, go with humility for your own self, and just go and see what you find. This is putting the information in that it wants to be able to share with us for our own brains. If we get away from this thing and we just go out into our front yards and start talking to our neighbors, where that could lead us with our own hearts could be something much more powerful, especially if we come at it from like a collaborative approach like you're talking about. So you're right. Go out and talk to your damn neighbor.
I'll add to that, like people tend to your LinkedIn profile, your Facebook profile, because it has the information, where did you grow up, where you were born, where you went to school, what kind of the jobs did you do. Mm-hmm. But they also forget that there is the information displayed only what people put out there. There is always more to the human than what it's actually written down. Because, hey, if I personally put all of the stuff that I did in my life over there, it's going to be a never-ending list on LinkedIn that nobody's going to be willing to read through.
For sure.
So talking with people and just simply grab a cup of coffee, go for a walk. It doesn't have to be all of these connection and meeting does not have to be like, oh, come to my office, let's sit in this. No, let's just grab a coffee. Let's go stroll through the, like woods and just talk and have a normal conversation and see what's going on in your life. Yeah,
that right there has changed my life. I didn't do that before 2020. And then I met Radigu Sundara that got me on the coffee meetups. And you said it earlier, it's not all about work all the time. It's about it all. It's like, are we connecting? Are we like, what's your family like? Are you like, whatever those things are, for you, but to be in community with each other is a pretty beautiful thing. What are you going to say? As
much as me being a European, you used to drive me crazy working back in my country, because we would have like, hey, we have break for a coffee, then we have a break for a lunch, and then we go for a lunch meeting that lasts for 3-4 hours. But actually now growing and maturing and everything, I understand why that was good. Because when we go on that meeting and you sit down and you have a clients or business partners or potential collaboration there, you get to know those true people. And
Yes.
so they tend to like tone it down a little bit in a sense of like, hey, we can get together the work and enjoyment of communication and connection with the people.
Yeah, amen.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, I could talk with you for a very long time. So I hope this is just the first of other shows that we'll do as we continue to evolve. Because I think what you're bringing to the table is needed, not just from like marketing agency and that type of stuff, but I think from a human element, I think what you're saying is important. You know, you've kind of fought through, you've done the right things in life, but you've persevered through so much to get to where you're at today. But to me, your leadership style and how you want to help, work with people in a collaborative way and in an authentic way, I think that's the future. So I think you're just getting started. If I had to bet. Question to you is: people want to connect with you, whether it's with your marketing agency or, and feel free to say that name on here too, or just personally, where should they do that at?
So I'm pretty much on all of the social media. So either Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So it's AGH Marketing Minds on all of those. And as well, I do own and I have one more Instagram page. This is Global Voyage VIP. That it's a huge community of the mainly women entrepreneurs that are related to the travel.
Cool.
So
rock on.
Just go ahead.
Well,
like happy to get a coffee with everybody, talk, and if there is anything that I can help with anybody with my knowledge so far, glad to do so.
Cool. Well, appreciate you being here today. Enjoyed our conversation and have a good weekend.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll say goodbye to these people and we'll go from there. My friends, it doesn't matter where you start. It matters what you put into life and where you're going. And when you find your true self and you're willing to grind, to push through, to fail, to try some things, to be like, that's not it. Eventually you get to what is going to bring you full joy. My hope is that this conversation today was insightful in a way that gives you hope to like go after what's in your heart. Like life sucks if you don't do what's in your heart. I think that this is my opinion, but I would stand behind that because it's so much more joyful when you're going after what fuels you. So go check out Gorana. Go check out her marketing agency. Check her out as a human. Ask her for coffee. My friends, I think we're stronger together, and I think the world is abundant. And I think through conversations, through connecting and collaborating, that we can shape a better tomorrow. Not just here in our local communities, but in our entire world. So for now, support local, love local, and we're stronger together. We'll see you next time. Peace.